I don't know why I sat down. The park was heavy with the slow warmth of early evening, the trees full and green, their leaves whispering above me in the soft breeze. I'd been walking around for hours, not toward anything, just away from everything. My legs finally gave out at a green bench under the shade of an old oak tree. That's when I saw him. 3 benches down, still as stone. An old man, at least that's what my mind told me he was. He wore a long weathered coat that looked out of place for the season. His hands were folded neatly over a cane, though he never seemed to lean on it. His face was carved deep with lines, 1,000 little scars from a life lived too long. And his eyes, they never left me. At first I told myself it was a trick of the light. A random stranger, zoned out and unaware. But minute after minute passed and his gaze held steady, anchoring me to the bench like a nail through flesh. A sick feeling slithered up my spine. I shifted, I coughed. I glanced around, hoping someone else might share the space between us, some dog walker, a jogger, anyone. But the park was empty. It was just me and him. The longer I sat, the heavier I felt, like there was something unseen pressing against my chest. Like the weight of everything I'd ever done wrong had finally caught up to me and had been given a shape and a face. I stood up abruptly, the old wood creaking beneath me. The old man didn't flinch. He simply watched, unblinking, patient. And somewhere deep in my gut, I knew I hadn't seen the last of him. The streets were still warm from the day's sun, the pavement breathing up gentle heat against my shoes. I kept my hands jammed in my pockets, head down, trying to pretend the encounter hadn't shaken me. It was just a random old man, just a weird night, nothing more. When I reached the corner of Harlow and 5th, I made the mistake of glancing up. He was there, coming straight toward me, no park bench between us this time. No distance to blur his face into something safe or explainable. He moved slowly, deliberately, like the whole world would wait for him to do whatever he had to do. Our eyes locked, and I felt it again, that unbearable weight, that gnawing certainty that he knew me. Not just my face, not just my name, but the whole ledger of my life. The things spoken and unspoken, the secret rot buried too deep for anyone else to see. As he passed, he didn't speak. He didn't brush against me, but something seemed to brush against my spirit. A sense of being measured, weighed, and somehow found wanting. I turned, my heart hammering, desperate to put space between us, but when I looked back over my shoulder, the street was empty. I cut through a few side streets, putting blocks between me and the place I'd last seen him. The city was easing into night. The sky was deep with only a few early stars peeking through the haze. Porch lights clicked on, windows glowed. Somewhere someone laughed behind a screen door. I was almost starting to believe I'd lost him. Then I caught movement from across the street in my eye. There he was, standing beneath a flickering street lamp, still watching. Even across the distance, I felt pulled into his gaze like a hook set deep in my ribs. It didn't matter how many cars passed between us or how many strangers walked by. To him, they were all invisible. Only I existed. I quickened my pace, my heart banging against my ribs. No matter which alley I ducked into, no matter how many corners I turned, every time I glanced up, there he was, somehow. Waiting for me, always on the other side of the street, always silent, always staring. I realized with a cold, sinking feeling that I wasn't going to outrun him. It's like I was being herded. Finally, I made it to a city bus, practically tripping over myself as I stumbled up the steps and fumbled for change. The doors hissed shut behind me like a closing trap. I sank into a seat near the middle, keeping my head low, breathing hard. For a while, nothing happened. The city fell away as the bus rumbled into the quieter parts, little neighborhoods where spring gardens curled up in neat rows and porch swings creaked under the humid, heavy air. The windows fogged slightly from the night dampness. I let myself believe I'd escaped. I let my guard down. That's when I saw him again. Out the window, under a flickering street lamp, a solitary figure in that same battered coat, walking along the roadside, steadily and impossibly slow. His head tilted slightly like he was listening to something only he could hear. And somehow, I knew he was waiting for me to falter, to choose the wrong road, the wrong turn, the wrong thought. The world felt like it was getting smaller and he was getting closer. I yanked the signal cord and practically ran off at the next stop, my feet hitting the sidewalk with a jolt. The subway entrance was a few blocks ahead, a staircase sinking into the ground, barely lit. I headed for it, not looking back. The sidewalk felt too empty, too quiet. Every step toward the subway entrance seemed louder than the last. The heavy spring air pressed against my back as I hurried down the chipped concrete steps, the scent of damp stone and iron filling the air. The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered overhead, casting long, trembling shadows along the walls. No one else was around, no trains rumbling below, only the thick, humming silence of something waiting. I pushed through the turnstile, trying to act normal, but my skin crawled like I could feel a stare drilling into the back of my skull. I didn't look behind me. I couldn't. Not yet. I knew what I would see. I was deep underground now, in a crumbling old subway station, thinking maybe I could lose him here, fade into the crowd, disappear among the people. I stood near the platform stairs, gathering my nerve. I hadn't even stepped forward before I saw him again, standing beneath the pale glow of a broken overhead light, just outside the turnstiles, waiting. He was always waiting. The elder's cane tapped lightly once on the ground, a soft, almost polite sound. And though the station around us bustled with the noise of strangers, none of them seemed to notice him. It was as if he only existed for me. I stood frozen, my heart pounding so hard it rattled my bones. As I stared, some wordless understanding settled over me. This wasn't chance. This wasn't madness. This was an appointment. He was not here to harm me. He was here to see me, to call me to account. Everything I had ever hidden in the shadows, every lie, every cruelty, every wasted moment was laid bare before those ancient, unblinking eyes. And though he said nothing, it felt like a silent question. A warm breeze drifted from above. It should have been comforting, but it wasn't. I shut my eyes tight, kind of like I was willing him away. And when I opened them again, the spot near the turnstile was empty. Only the flickering light buzzed overhead, pulsing like a dying heartbeat. But I knew, with the same certainty that I knew my own name, I hadn't left him behind. The elder wasn't something I could outrun. He was the truth that I had been trying to bury. Patient, inevitable, eternal. And someday soon, I would have to answer.